Gustavo Gayer is joining us from there. Mr. Gayer, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Well, simply put, will Lula get impeached over Israel? How do you explain this vast political support in Congress, including by members of the government base?
Yes, well, thank you for having me. First, I think I must start my participation in the program asking for apology. I am really sorry about what's happening. I just want to say, as a federal congressman, that Lula's declaration does not represent the majority of the Brazilian people. And as a matter of fact, the vast majority of Brazilian people are shocked, are very angry with his words and by what he did. That's why we've just reached a record number of signatures from the members of parliament asking for his impeachment. So we are working hard in order to succeed in this endeavor, which is to impeach him. What he did is unjustifiable. It's probably one of the worst declarations that a president from the Western Hemisphere has ever said in the history of the world. And for that, he must pay. But again, I just want to say that we Brazilian people are very sorry by his words and remind everyone that he does not represent the majority of the Brazilian population. But yes, an impeachment because of this is a reality.
Congressman Gayer, I'm sure that many of our viewers here in Israel and elsewhere are very grateful for your statements, no doubt about that. But let's go back to what we're seeing now in the Brazilian Congress. What are the next steps for impeachment? How feasible is that, or is it, and not undermining the significance of such, is it just a way to hurt him politically?
Well, we are, of course, we are focusing on success, getting him out of office. But for that, we need the president of the House of Representatives to admit this file, this impeachment. And the public pressure, the population on social media, on the streets, has been enormous. Just so you can understand, on next Sunday, there will be a protest on Avenida Paulista. Here now, it's our symbol of our manifestations, right? Protests, people going on the streets. And we are expecting more than 1 million people at this protest. There are two main reasons for this protest. One is the political persecution perpetrated by this government and his Supreme Court, which is majority chosen by the Workers' Party, which is Lula's party, against conservative and right-wing politicians and population in general. We have witnessed an extreme censorship, the collapse of our freedom of expression, and also because of what Lula said about Israel and his anti-Semite comments.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that this is nothing new. The whole world knew about Lula's position.
Right.
During his campaign in 2022, he was the only president that we know of that received support from Hamas. Hamas actually wrote on their official website that they supported Lula, which is interesting given the fact that the mainstream media here in Brazil always depicted his opponent as being the Nazi or a dictator. But Hamas, of course, supported Lula. When the result was declared and that Lula had won the election, Hamas wrote another a letter of congratulation and congratulated him for his victory. If that was not enough, then we had most recently, an official note written by Hamas, published by its official site and also the Telegram channel, thanking Lula for his words against Israel and about Hitler, trying to compare what Israel is doing by what Hitler had done. So this is the first time in history that we know of a president from a allegedly democratic country being thanked by the most evil terrorist group in history. And to top that, because it can get worse when we talk about Lula.
Yeah, as if it was not enough until
recently.
now. Yeah.
He went to Africa recently and declared that he will continue funding the agency under the United Nations that was caught helping the Hamas attack, and asked for other countries to return their funding to this agency as well. So it's extremely embarrassing for us, people of Brazil, people who really value democracy, to be represented by this person. But I believe the impeachment will resolve that.
So Congressman Gayer, as we are nearing, unfortunately, the end of our conversation, if I understand correctly from what you're saying, under the current Lula administration, the Brazil-Israel relations cannot really be mended. We simply have to wait for the administration to change.
Well, the way I see it, yes. The last news we had from the government is that they were thinking about expelling the Israel ambassador. Now, that is the last thing you do before going to war against the country. And they are actually considering expelling him. Also, they are calling Netanyahu and also the chancellor, Israel Katz, I believe it's his name, by fascist. Believe it or not, they are calling them here. The president of Workers' Party, the Lula's party, is calling him Nazi and fascist. So we are living in such an insane world today here in Brazil that people who defend Israel are called Nazi, and people who support terrorist attacks against Israel are called democratic people fighting for freedom.
Yeah, so we're not holding our breath for an apology from Lula.
Don't do it.